Welcome, everybody. This is What's Up for Your Children, and it's January 19th, 2021. So let's go ahead and just start the call today in the heart. And let's go ahead and breathe in deeply right into the center of the heart, again, as if the heart is the only place that the breath can go. So we'll deep inhale into the heart, and we're going to exhale out 360 degrees. And let's do that again, breathing deep, deep, deep into the heart space, filling up the chest, filling up the heart, and exhaling out 360 degrees. And this time when we breathe into the heart, we're going to exhale out to all of our own inner children, all of the children within us that would really appreciate some love, appreciation, acceptance, compassion. So we'll breathe deeply, deeply, deeply into the center of the heart and exhale out 360 degrees out to those inner children. And now let's take one more deep inhale into the center of the heart space. And this time we're going to exhale out to our physical children. Exhaling out 360 degrees around us, right back out to the energetic fields of our physical children. There we go. And then we'll take one last deep inhalation, deep, deep inhale right into the center of the heart. And this time we'll exhale 360 degrees out and around us and out to all the children of this planet, be they internal or external, all the children on this planet. There you go. All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, and so when you're ready, just let's go ahead and bring ourselves back. Bring ourselves back. And there we go. All right, and just so you know, we've got lots and lots of wind here in Valencia, California today. So it's whipping at quite a pace. So every now and again, things get a little short-circuited. So if that happens, I'll come right back. All right, or at least I'll try. So Sharon, do we have any questions today?
We sure do. So this first question is, hi, I'm new to the understanding that our children's behavior is because they are struggling to adjust into our dimension. But I am finding it hard when my 8-year-old does things like grab soil from a pot plant and throw it around the room, or when he floods the bathroom. I would dearly like to know what he is trying to tell me.
Yeah, so yeah, and of course, in the midst of, that kind of chaos, when kids are have those kinds of behaviors, first things first, we're wanting to support them in, finding another behavior, finding another activity to do. So, so that's first. But the other side of it is a lot of times when it's related to water, it will be, it usually has to do with emotions. And so if you're getting a recurrence of flooding, so a lot of times, a lot of our own emotional energy and or the emotional energy of the collective right now can literally be flooding over. So we can take these things kind of literally and see how that feels or see how that settles with us. The other thing we can do is we can go right to how does it make us feel that that's happening? You know, what does that bring up? Anger? Does it bring up frustration? Does it bring up sadness, confusion? We can look at it from that more personal perspective too, and just be present, just be with, just notice what it brings up. Sometimes the awareness is enough to give us a few aha moments, but water's almost always emotion, right? So soil is almost always the physical body and our relationship to being on this planet. So you can imagine that somebody like your son is, like you said at the beginning of your question, is having challenges maybe because of his energetic sensitivity being completely uh, integrated through the emotional body and into the physical body. So the emotion that's overwhelming or that's coming up and through, again, could be within the household. More likely right now, it's within the collective. And then also that soil part is usually how he feels or as a reflection of, let's say, the upheaval of being on the planet at this point. So I would honestly talk to him about both of those, whether you think he understands fully or not. I would say, in relationship to the water and or the soil, just that. Wow, you really must be feeling the overflowing of emotional energy, the overflowing of water. You must really be dealing with or attempting to interact or feeling something related to your physical body being on this planet, right? Which represents the soil. So I would say those things to him and see what happens. More likely than not, you're going to get at least a gaze at you like, what did you just say? It's like, what was that about? But it goes into a deeper knowing. Whether he's consciously aware of why he's doing that or not is irrelevant. But what he is doing is he's picking up the collective unconscious and or the unconscious energy of the house, and he's playing it out in the ways that he knows how to. So hope that's helpful.
Okay, this question is, my son has been self-injuring to a whole new level, momentarily knocking himself out, tearing flesh from his knee. Any insight would be appreciated, and how can we help him?
Well, first, this is physical harm, and we want to address the physical harm. And so, a lot of times, though, if we address the physical harm from just a psychological standpoint or a psychiatric standpoint, that kind of energy, it doesn't really quite do the trick. This is another one where I would really use homeopathy as a support for some of those self-injurious behaviors, because the homeopathy will go to the core of what the self-injurious behaviors are about. So you're working that out from the inside out, while you're also working on some of the emotional energy that might be playing out. So when you've got self-injurious behavior, that can be a few different things. Sometimes there is literally self-injurious behavior that comes down through the lineage, right? And you'll see it played out in different people in the lineage in different ways. maybe they don't actually scratch themselves or hit themselves or that kind of thing, but maybe they are self-sabotaging and or self-injurious in other ways. So that's something to explore, and to look at. The other thing too is, and I feel like there's a collective piece to this energy right now too, where there is a lot of, hold on a second, I just want to make sure I get this accurate. Let me say it this way: if this is something that has escalated, let's say over this last year, and or even over the last few months, even more significantly, I would say that this is more of a collective energy. And also, there is a lot of not just there's not just self injury going on, but there is a lot of injury and harm going on within children, within collective, within those who don't really have a voice. And for some reason, that's what I'm picking up, with this child, with your child. So again, two things: we want to address it from a physical support system, you know, a homeopath. And Sharon, we can give Liam's name again too. If you don't have a homeopath, we have one that we recommend fairly often. So there's that. But the other thing that I would start asking your child, or at least saying to your child, is, wow, I'm noticing just how much you must be feeling everybody else. Wow, I notice that you are feeling or must be reacting to, um, those who are being injured, right? So if it was a reflective kind of energy, it's a reflection of others being injured, is what it feels like, at least in this case. And again, could very, not about the household, might be about the lineage, might be somewhere in the lineage, and it might be somewhere just in our collective human family. But I would actually speak those words out loud. Yeah. And again, whether you think he understands it or not, the soul gets it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, there's some grief and some anxiety and some stress around that whole energy. So there might be something in the lineage where that connects to or has resonance with more of a collective kind of, I'm going to say, like abuse pattern or abuse experience. And so that might be the very energy that allows him to pick it up on a bigger scale. So let's have conversations about that with him and pay attention to it for him or with him. Yeah. All right. Is there something else, Sharon?
Yes. Okay. This question is, my 16-year-old son has so many peculiar patterns that continue. He is adversing to the number 15, where on the 15th of every month, he cannot do anything he likes or that he does on other days. He eats what he doesn't like. He won't be with his teachers. He won't do anything he likes and locks up all of his things in his room and no one can enter. It takes him now a few days to get out of the curse of the number 15, sometimes up to 3 or 4 days to get back into doing regular stuff. We all roll with it and support him with what he thinks he needs to do. Any other advice?
In this case, I just want to unwind this. This is not from now. This is something he's, let me see. This is not from now. It's something that he picked up from It's interesting. I usually don't see other incarnations with highly sensitive kids, but whether he was in a body or out of a body, there is a very specific energetic pattern with the 1 and the 5. The oneness, the one is oneness, and the 5 is change. So as we're shifting and changing and becoming more oriented to our own oneness, that is the particular pattern that he is fixated on. Oneness. Okay, he's just never know what you're going to get here. So oneness through change. And there, somewhere along the line, there was a mishap in, I have a feeling that he as a soul does this particular kind of work on a fairly regular basis, returns oneness, supports the return of oneness through change and through pretty significant change. Sometimes that doesn't always go very well or hasn't gone very well. And so he's fixated on securing, let's say, that position, securing that ability, securing that capacity. So therefore he secures everything in his room, he locks everything up. My curiosity here is, what does he feel like he needs in order to shift into oneness, shift into his own totality through change? And or what does those that he is supporting, what do they need to shift into oneness through change? It's a little bit of a both and here. Both he is having that challenge and they that he's supporting have that challenge. Let me see. So it has to do with paying attention to the 1 more than the 5. So it's like, so these are the kinds of things I would say to him on that 15th day when it's that 1 and that 5 are trying to come together. It's like, okay, we're going, and I would again say out loud, we're going to pay attention to our oneness. We're going to pay attention to the oneness of everything. We're going to, even if he thinks, you know, if he's verbal or nonverbal or somewhere in between, it really doesn't matter. I just literally would say it out loud so that the soul hears it and knows it. We're going to pay attention to oneness. How people change or how you change is not as relevant as the oneness that is allowing you to change, the oneness that is encouraging you to change. So it's the combination of the 2 numbers that's actually the trick that creates that more like almost like a OCD kind of behavior. So we want to focus him on the 1, not the 5. Yeah. That's interesting. I just learned something new. So yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and this question is, son is having issues with electric outlets and have evil spirits that are trying to take his soul. So he won't touch anything and ask any of them and ask to have others plug in any device. Do you have any advice?
Smart kid. Yeah, it's like good plan. So there's all kinds of energy that moves through all kinds of circuitry. Some of that energy is negative and some of that energy is positive. And if he is picking up that the energy is negative, we're going to assume that he's accurate So I just want to see. This is a um, it's like I'm not sure that your electrical system in your house is fully grounded. You know, when you build a house or sometimes the electrical system is not fully grounded into the earth, and there needs to be some kind of additional grounding for that circuitry, because it is letting other energies in, and he's just aware and sensitive enough to pick them up. I would not assume that he's making stuff up or anything like that. He's just aware that that energy is there. So we want to ground out um, the house. Usually copper is a really great way to do that. So you can, I'm just asking him. He's just telling me what to do. So what I would do is I would take some copper wire, and I would find, you're probably going to have to do at least a couple points around the house, but I would take something metal that comes from the house, like sheeting underneath or something along those lines. If you can actually find the electrical box and the wiring out from that, you could even take that, do a little copper wire around it, put it on a copper rod, and just drive it into the ground. It'll neutralize the house. So yeah, copper wiring, even just the copper wiring itself could do some of that, but it looks like he wants it. He wants it in, yeah, that copper rod into the earth. So yeah, he's right. Electrical current carries all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah. So let's just, hold on a second. Yeah. Seeing if, as we clear it away, as we clear that energy and those entities away, or if I even energetically put on the copper coiling, what does that energy do? And it does, you don't want it stopping in the center of the house. You want it floating going all the way down through and then grounding out, because it'll neutralize it. So just did a little bit of that energetically, so some of that would help, but I think the physical would also be much more supportive than what I can do energetically with it right now. Yeah, he's right. He's right. Is there anything that anybody else does have, or before I can add a couple points here, but nothing else? You good? Okay. All right, so let me just take a look here. So one of the things that's happening between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, winter equinox, spring solstice, whatever. So between December and March, right? You can tell I'm not an astrologer, but in that time frame, there's going to be, let me say, peak experiences, like, and what I mean by that is there's going to be like a thinning of the veil, is what the kids are showing me in particular. And so there's going to be like this thinning of the veil, and it could be for them, it could be for you. Sometimes it shows up as aha moments. Sometimes it shows up as literally things that you see or notice or are aware of that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see into. And so I'm just being told to share with you, no worry, no concern about that, but just pay attention to what shows up during those mm, peak thinnings of the veil, I guess is the best way to say, because those are little indicators as to uh, those are indicators as to skill sets, awarenesses, different access points of consciousness that you are ultimately going to have all the time, but they're just going to start peeking through, is what I'm hearing, between now and spring. So just pay attention to whatever those are. And I'd jot them down, because whatever they are, you are, one, have some capacity related to that. And two, it's just going to give you greater awareness, either about what your kids are capable of interacting with, seeing, processing, neutralizing, transforming, loving, changing, and or what you are capable of in the same, in the same way. So, yeah. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. So the other thing that I do want to say is the energies right now are, and again, between now and March, are fluctuating. They're fluctuating not just in the vibrational world, but in the physical world. I mean, this is a very physical, visceral transformation. And so the kids are also asking that on their behalf, that you actually just be present with what's coming up for you in any given moment. Just acknowledge, that today's a frustrating day, or today's an easy day, or whatever it is, because 9 times out of 10 right now, you also are just picking up some of the collective energies that are trying to move through. So there's no reason to blame, shame, get frustrated or with yourself or any of that. Just acknowledge to yourself in any given moment, no, this is really how I feel. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm happy, I'm elated. Oh my gosh, I just saw something I've never seen before. Whatever it is, just acknowledge it. And that helps to neutralize some of the emotional energy that comes from anybody's energy field. And it makes it a lot easier on the kids when we do acknowledge those things. So anyway, anything else before we had a little short session today, which is...
I think you already answered this one. It's she just would like to know, her son sees angels, or she was told that he sees angels, and what do you advise on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of energetically sensitive individuals see all kinds of different things, and honestly, it's kind of nice that it's the angelic realm, because a lot of energetically sensitive kids can have a tendency to see kind of lower fourth dimension stuff and or collective emotional body energy that's coagulated into something. So let's just treat whatever our kids see as real, right? Let's treat that. We're not going to dismiss it in any way. It's a capacity, whether it's perceived as dark or light. It's still a capacity. And so we want to keep open lines of communication around any of that, and just acknowledging, and also acknowledging that we might not be able to see those things. So, acknowledging that it is a capacity. I notice that you can see these things and I can't. I wonder what it's like to see that. I wonder what it's like to feel that angelic presence. sometimes even if your child's not a verbal communicator, they will still give you the feeling upon request of what it feels like to be in the presence of an angel, to be in the presence of um, so, and I like that because it's much easier to talk to somebody about something when you've had at least a little taste of what they have access to. So ask, ask, especially if it's that positive energy, ask what that feels like or what that looks like. And you'll probably get a dream or a physical sensation or even a lightening up of the body that'll give you a little indicator of what that presence is like. So, yeah, cool. All right. Gentle with ourselves, especially those of you who are living in the US right now, a lot of pivotal kind of energy moving. Um, and it's really a reorganization on a pretty massive scale. And so, yeah, giving yourself permission to just feel what comes up and really holding that in oneness to whatever degree that you actually can. So I've been using that phrase a lot right now. It's like, so I don't polarize or get pulled by good, bad, right, wrong, just holding it in the energy of oneness. So the kids like that too. There's big thumbs up for that. So we'll move forward that way anyway. So I hope it was helpful tonight. And anyway, look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.